Boom, boom. This is Ken, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. All right, we got a little bit of Azur Lane on tap today. And as promised, the Ashen Simulacrum event has dropped. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. All right, so a little bit different format. Now, this is the Ashen Simulacrum. It's a rerun event, okay? So things, this is a little bit different than some of the other events that they've had recently. For instance, you do have to level up and then break the ships, but it's done through a different way. It's not done through the mission tab. So any of you looking in the mission tab saying, where is my fully limit break quest, you're not going to find them in here because they're not in there. To actually do this event, then the way you do it is through this screen right here. So if you go into your event tab and look on the first line, you'll see this, okay? So you complete the special reward, click on this little update and you'll see them right here are the fully limit break. So if you fully limit break Alabama, Cavala, Baltimore, Baton, Birmingham, Alwyn, and San Juan, okay? And that's how you complete it. Then you get the chat frame, okay? So again, now this is going to be, you know, this is the only thing different from the previous events in format, okay? So you'll still, you know, have until the 14th to limit break the ships, so you don't have to complete them by the 7th, okay? But this is where you get, you know, this is where you complete the missions, and as you complete the missions, it will let you know, okay? So the event, you know, from run 247, that's the actual battle sorties will be ending on 47, okay? So you need to make sure that you get everything complete by 47 in terms of running the sorties and get all of the black battle medallions that you need to get in the event. The medallions are what you of course use as always in the shop. It's called black battle stars is what they're called, these medallions. Now Cavala is in here. We're going to talk about Cavala recently. She's an excellent sub and we'll be talking about the ships here shortly. But let me go ahead and do the basics of the actual format. So that's the Ashen. Okay, so limit breaking ships, all right? Get those battle stars, same as always, 10,000. You're going to see the first copy, okay, right there. And then you can get multiple copies throughout all the way up to 60,000. That's all. But you get a baton, okay? Next up, we've got San Juan. San Juan, this is still different oil. Basically, as you're running the event, you're going to be spending oil. So get 8,000 oil, and you can get a copy of San Juan as well. PR catch-up is still going on until the 14th, of course. So make sure that you are doing that to get your Abuki blueprints, simply because they're free. An approaching storm. Of course, you want to complete this to get that nice little trinket piece of gear that you can use that will help reduce the damage on one of your ships from sirens, which will make it useful in Operation Siren. A little bit useful. It's only 6%. Hey, you can't win them all, but it's a damage reduction, and you will be facing sirens all the time. So it's definitely something you want to consider. All right, so first up, let's talk about the build and let's talk a little bit about the ships. All right, so here's the ships. Now, Sumner and Potter are new ships, so those were not in the original. They've just been entered, so I haven't had a chance to really familiarize myself with their skills and determine whether or not there's something that we want to go ahead and focus on. But you definitely want to get them just because they're in the event. All right, so let's talk about Baltimore first. All right, she's a heavy cruiser. As such, they have the best offensive stats in the game. Okay, you get a main gun has a +1, and you can also use some of the main gun type inside the auxiliary gun slot too as well. Okay, so she can do some pretty serious damage. But one of the reasons is the fact that her second skill that makes her so valuable. Now, the best carriers in the game come from the Eagle Union USS fleet. It's just the way it is. You got Enterprise, you know, Intrepid, you know, Hornet, you know, all of those ships. You know, Birmingham, or not Birmingham, but Saratoga, Centaur. Those are all USS Eagle Union ships, and they're carriers. And as her second skill buffs carriers. Okay, so that makes her extremely useful. Okay, so here's the skill. It says when the fleet has USS carriers or light carriers, so you can use Saratoga and Centaur, which are light carriers, and increases all team members AA by 7%. Okay, this is when the skill is maxed. Okay, and then increases the USS carrier light carrier evasion by 15%. Okay, so that's pretty good. Okay, now also, but on the flip side, let's say that you don't have you only have like one carrier, and the rest are like battleships or something. So when the team does not have USS carrier or light carriers, increase its firepower by 12% max and evasion by 15% max. So understand, Baltimore already has massive offensive stats just because she's a heavy cruiser. I didn't throw in the fact that you can increase that damage even more. But unfortunately, the most powerful damage dealers in the game are the carriers. So you want to be running carriers with her. And this will increase their aviation, which is their firepower. So that's the way to go with her. But if you want to put her in a fleet, okay, you don't have to use her. You can use her in another fleet, okay, because it says when the team does not have USS carriers or light carriers, okay, that's the fake USS. So if you put Baltimore in a team that doesn't have USS ships in it, bingo, you get the damage output. Okay, so that's why she's one of the best ships in the game. Her rating out of 10 is basically they get about a 9.5 rating, is what a lot of people put her at. So she's almost up there with the top tip. But yeah, so she's a very excellent ship. You definitely want to get her. I did not have a chance to get her when she first came out because I hadn't gotten to the point in the event yet. So, but I'm definitely going to go for her. All right, so let's take a look at Alabama. Alabama's right here. Alabama, she's a South Dakota class battleship. Okay, so she has excellent base stats and a very high anti-aircraft. So if you're lacking in anti-aircraft, I'm not. I have Sandy. Sandy's the best anti-aircraft in the game still. Okay, so Alabama's not going to usurp that. But if you don't have Sandy, maybe you might want to consider putting her in. Okay, but she has a really good. Proc. Her barrage has a 75% chance to proc. A proc barrage on that. That's pretty good. So you're gonna see a lot of damage with her. Okay, so that makes her one of the most reliable ships in the game for getting out significant damage. Okay, she's not quite on Monarch's level or anything like that, but she's pretty good in terms of damage. If you don't have any of the PR ships like your Georges, your Scattles, your Monarchs, if you don't have them and you don't have them leveled up, she's definitely a good placeholder in terms of damage because she does do some serious damage. So definitely something that you want to consider, looking at. Okay, so Kavala. Kavala, as we say, can be gotten inside of the shop for 8,000, so you definitely want to get her. Kavala is one of the best subs of the game, and that's because the reason is because of she has her second skill, increased damage dealt to carriers by 20% max, okay? So what you got to mean is that all of the bosses in 12 and 13, your in-game chapters, are carriers. So basically, 20% extra damage against carriers. Also, another one you want to go for is Albacore. Okay, I don't have Kavala, but I do have Albacore. Albacore does the same thing, extra damage against carriers. So in the in-game, they're very significant. So running a USS fleet with 3 carriers, Baltimore in the front line, Sandy in there for anti-air, put whoever you want in that other Vanguard slot, and then pop up, carriers with Kavala, Albacore, put in another carrier, just whoever you want, and bam. Okay, you're going to have an excellent fleet to go against some of the in-game ships, and you should be very good in completing those. So that's a good thing. That's what makes her one of the best subs in the game. So she's definitely a top tier sub. Okay, so you definitely want to earn enough of the medallions to actually get her 8,000 medallions, but so you can't build her, so you're going to have to spend the 8,000 to actually get her. I don't see any build that has Kavala on it. Just got Essex. Pretty much going to have to but you can get her in the shop. So just make sure you're ready event enough to get 8,000, and then get enough, of course, to get all the goodies that you always get in these events. All right. So next up, let's talk about Birmingham. Birmingham. Okay, Birmingham. She's got an excellent stat line, okay, because she's a Cleveland class light cruiser, and all the Cleveland class light cruisers, such as Cleveland, always have excellent stats. Their base stats are really good, okay, but she also has a fairly decent skill set. which makes her a little bit better. So she's a little bit better than Cleveland at this point. Okay. Most people rate her on the Turk is with Montpelier. Montpelier is a super rare cruiser, so that gives you some idea of just exactly how strong they consider her. Okay. Okay, she's tanky, and she does great damage and good anti-air stat because she's with the Cleveland class. All of her stats are pretty good. So she's definitely going to be a ship that you can probably get by with in game if you're looking to get, if you're looking to just start out. So you might be something you want to go to. Okay, so let's talk about Baton. Baton, another ship that you get inside of the event. Well, okay, she does good damage, but she's a light carrier. Okay, and this is the same thing with light carrier. Now, whenever we're talking about light characters, this excludes Centaur. Centaur's a light carrier, but Centaur's skill line does not make her appear to be a light carrier. She does just as much damage as regular carriers, add to the fact that her skills are excellent. So we don't consider her to be a normal light carrier. Okay, she's an excellent. You should definitely have Centaur fully limited up, but if you have a USS fleet, you should definitely have Centaur in it. But anything light carrier based, not Centaur, is there's just no real reason to use them. Okay, the damage is not quite as good as, okay, you just really can't get of them. Okay, there's just really no reason to do them. So if she's a good ship. Baton is a good ship. And you should definitely get her, and I would consider leveling up. But unless carriers start to play a more important role in fleet building, I just don't really see a need for them. Enterprises and stuff, they do a lot more. Okay, so it's one of those things. So you have to take it. Plus you get but she's a good carrier, so definitely something that you might want to get by with. But really, there's just no really reason to use her at this point. But if they do, give them some type of the light carrier, maybe buffing other carriers or something like that, then maybe they'll be a little bit more useful. But right now, there's just not much use for light carriers when the standard carriers are so much more powerful. All right, but that said, you definitely want to get her. All right, let's talk about San Juan. Oh man, San Juan. Okay. San Juan. She's an Atlanta class. Okay, which means they have sucky damage. Okay, so garbage damage, but they're going to have good anti-air. So in early level, early story mode, if you don't have Sandy or anybody like that, you can put in a San Juan, any of the Atlanta class, and they're going to have good anti-air. So they'll help alleviate some of the damage you're going to be taking from planes. But in basic, she's just not good. Okay, Sandy is what you want to get. Okay, for anti-air. But believe me, if you don't have Sandy and you're locking on the anti, you can put San Juan, any of the Atlanta class in there, and they have excellent. They do good anti-air ability. Okay, I'm not going to fault them on that. They suck with damage, and they probably won't last long. But if you need anti-air, go for San Juan or any of the Atlanta class ships, and you're going to get excellent anti-air. But it is what it is. I've got Sandy fully maxed, fully broke out, fully limited, so I don't really need anything like that. And you've also got Dito U's and like that who have excellent anti-air, and they're just better ships. But if you're starting out, she might be a good thing. But what's really interesting about San Juan is the fact that she has a chibi expression that is just hilarious. So once I've got her, we'll put her in the dorm and we'll play around with her chibi expression and just see how hilarious it actually is. All right, so that's what San Juan is known for. Everybody considers her to be the favorite in terms of the chibi expression. All right, so Sims is going to be getting a retrofit. Okay, now if you have Haman and you got her retrofit, it's identical. Okay, so she's going to get a boost in her anti-air, and she gets a retrofit skill, which gives you a smoke screen. Okay, it's an average smoke screen. I mean, it's not super awesome like Belfast or anything like that, but it's a nice smoke screen. Okay, it's average. Okay, she's you can use her early, but once you get to the difficult maps, of course, that you're not going to be able to have anything that's going to be she's going to die pretty fast. All right, so now Elwyn's right here. Okay, she's a destroyer. Okay, so below average stats, weak skills, Okay, you don't want to use her in any combat. She's just gonna die. But if you want to level her up, maybe stick her in a commission or something if you want to level her up. But yeah, okay. But the reason she is so good is because her dialogues are just amazing. She goes from a sweet, nice, cute, innocent little girl to a yender so fast. Yeah, I mean, so if you go to the wiki, you can check out her affinity dialogues, and it's pretty funny. So yeah, so they really did something with her. So, but she's definitely a ship that you want to get just so you can get those dialogue lines. But other than that, yeah, you don't want to put her in battle. All right, so that's where we're at. So some good ships. I'll do some more. I'll do another video, halfway or so through the event, and we'll talk about Sumner and Potter and see if they're worth, bringing to the fleet. But you definitely want to get your hands on Baltimore and Alabama and Birmingham, as well as, don't forget that shot, and don't forget one of the best subs, if not the best sub in the game, in Kabbalah. But if you're using carriers, okay. If you're not using characters, then you really don't need to worry about her. But Kabbalah and Albacore do both give off excellent in-game maps, USS fleet. Run the USS fleet. You put Enterprise in there, put Centaur in there, stick another carrier in there. I'm probably going to put Essex or Intrepid in there, and that's what you can run the in-game maps with. Put Baltimore on your front line. Okay, put Sandy in there for anti-air. Now you can put anybody you want in that third slot, and then put Albacore, Kabbalah as your subs. Throw in another sub just for just to complete that, and you'll have an excellent fleet that's designed specifically for late game maps. You'll be able to run 12 and 13 with them and be fairly successful. With the 20% buff on you can imagine what a 20% buff on Enterprise's Lucky E is going to do. Lucky E already, when that skill procs on Enterprise already clears a map, now it's going to be clearing out, even faster. And it's going to help because those in-game bosses are carriers in the upper levels. So having something that does damage against carriers, and something that increases your carriers in the process, in terms of Baltimore, and then damage to the enemy characters with Kabbalah and Albacore. Yeah, it gives you a serious advantage inside of those late game modes, which is what you want to do, because the story mode you want to do in late game is one of the really fun parts of actually playing the game. And of course it would make a fleet that you could use in Operation Siren as well. So anything that's going to make you more powerful. So definitely want to get the 8,000 to get Kabbalah. But yeah, so that's where we're at. So this is a really good event, especially if you didn't have parts in it. So I'm not going to go for the chat screen, simply because I use all my mats inside of the Northern Parle event, which I did complete that event, and I did manage to get the chat emblem. So it is what it is. But I don't quite have enough mats to actually do this. But I'm definitely going to try to get Baltimore and get her fully limit broke, and start inserting her into my fleet. This is my one real hole that I was looking to comb out on my fleet. And Baltimore, I think, would make my fleet a lot more powerful, because I run backline carriers on my main USS fleet. So I have Centaur fully maxed, Enterprise fully maxed. I've got Saratoga fully maxed in there right now. She's a really good ship too, but she's a light carrier. So I'm going to be replacing her with Essex or Intrepid. I'm working on both of them, but they'll both do more damage. So that's what I'll be putting in there, and they'll all three get the buff from Baltimore. So that's what I'm looking at. All right, so yeah, good event, good ships. Definitely plug any holes that you might have in your Illegal Union fleet if that's what you're looking to. And that's where we'll go. So I'll do another event in a couple of weeks, and we'll talk a little bit about Potter and Sumner, and see if they are any good and worth putting in the fleet. All right, so thanks a lot for watching the video. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Once you subscribe, you'll see that bell. If you click on that bell, you get notified each time I do drop a video. And remember to like and share the video, as that does help the channel immensely. So this is Kendra coming at you from the corner, signing out.